Hello, today my tip is for the hips. If you feel like they're not even, I have been kind of going through a history of that for a while, and that affected my walking gait and affected my strength training practice. And what I was constantly feeling is not so much back of the leg work on my left side, it was more in front, and a lot of back of the leg work on my right side. And then through some exploration and my awareness, I realized that my left side of the pelvis was shifted forward and the right side of the pelvis was shifted back. And that just created some uneven distribution of movement and muscular engagement. So now I was struggling in movements like deadlift or hip hinge because I couldn't feel anything in the back of my left leg, but I felt a lot in my right. So I'm not going to go into details. But if you are kind of struggling with uneven hips, or maybe sometimes like SI joint discomfort, which a lot of my clients kind of complain about, or kind of some pain more on one side than the back than the other, or you perhaps just like don't feel your hamstring on one side but feel a lot on the other side. I'm gonna give you this great movement, which also gonna be breathing infused as well, and it's borrowed from PRI, Postural Restoration Institute, and I did a lot of of this movement when I was struggling with my uneven hips. So, for what you will need for this movement, I'm using a squishable ball, but you can definitely use a block or just a folded blanket. That's perfectly fine. So it's preferred that you can be on the floor. And when you get down to the floor and lie down, if you feel like your neck is so much arched, you may benefit by folding a blanket. All right, so you'll be lying down what is called 1990 position, and you will need a wall, okay? So again, as you lie down in this position and you feel like your head is right there, so instead of just tilting that pelvis and pushing the guts out, which I see a lot of my clients do, we're gonna try to keep our pelvis on the floor, so like the tailbone touching, and that might cause a lot of arching through here if you are that person. There are a lot of components that go into this move. So then you just have to experiment how high your support needs to be for your head so that you allow your ribs to relax just by propping up your head, not by tensing something to release the other part. Okay, so hopefully your ribs are a little bit more relaxed, because ideally we want to bring the canister action, so rib cage over the pelvis connection, for better breathing mechanics and better breathing, better adjusting of the pelvis. So from here, you're gonna bring your feet onto the wall and just trying to make that 90 degrees, okay? So knees over the hips and knees in line with the ankles, okay? So what we'll be doing, as I said, when that left side of the pelvis moves forward and the right side of the pelvis moves back, some muscular dynamics change, right? So what we'll be doing, we will be pulling the left foot down without moving, but that's essentially what I'll be doing, but without moving. It's more of an isometric contraction. And you can try that. We can try to pull both heels down, which you should feel your pelvis tilts towards you and the tailbone peels off the floor. And you might already start feeling your hamstrings. Make sure you're not squeezing your butt, because what we want to do is to get those proximal hamstrings, the closest to our hip muscles, the ones that attach to the sit bones, and tilt a pelvis towards you, like the pubic bone towards your face. Okay? And if you feel a lot of your hip flexors, especially on the left side, then you may have to release and first start with your three-dimensional breath. You might have to do that several times until you feel your abdominal muscles engage and your rib cage and the pelvis connect. All right? So what we'll be doing, we'll be placing the ball between the inner thighs. You're going to get a gentle squeeze of the ball. And then you're going to start pulling your left heel down, feeling your right knee getting higher than the left. So if you look at it, you will feel it. Okay, so make sure your lower core abdominals are working and internal obliques, which are here as well. And then you're actively pulling that left heel down and start feeling hopefully your left hamstring. So it might take a few trials and go through this video several times to get there. Then we're going to pick the right foot off the floor and really put that left hamstring into action. And if you kind of maybe touch that left side, you may feel that left hamstring kicking in. So, and if you can hold this position without, again, using your hip flexors on the left side, so that's where the lower core muscles come handy. So see if you can take a few breaths here. Inhaling front side back, feeling your pelvic floor relaxes. Exhaling, drawing in and up. Dropping the ribs down towards the floor, drawing the pelvic bones in and up. We're not lifting pelvis too high off the floor. So if this is too hard, too much, you can definitely just put the ball down, okay? As long as you can control your thighs not going out. And then see if you can just try one side. Like a lot of times I actually pick the right foot off the floor. Again, taking my three-dimensional breath here. Drawing the pelvic bones in, lifting the pubic bone up, connecting my ribs to the pelvis. So I'm trying to take my hip flexors out of it. So if you put your hands, especially into the left side, and feel that it's nice and squishy. And then without the right foot there, I'm gonna start pulling my left heel down, feeling that connection of the hamstring to my left sit bone. And then without shifting too much to the side, right? You're trying to maintain that control. That's why you're working your abs and you're working your left hamstring and your left butt cheek. All right, then from here, I'm just gonna try to take a few breaths. You're not really squeezing the left butt cheek, but you're gonna feel a gentle kind of pull from that hamstring. So a lot of times what helps me here as well, because usually in that kind of pattern of the pelvic shift, the left adductor, the inner thigh muscle, is going to be a little bit weaker. So that's why you will feel like you want to splay out your legs. So I'm actively pressing through the big toe of the left foot. And I'm trying to keep my core muscles engaged all throughout. So I'm talking, but technically you should be breathing here. All right, and then relax. So of course you can do pre-test and after test as well. I mean, if you are aware in your body how the pelvis feels, then you might just stand up and notice how the sides are feeling in your perception. You might start walking and notice maybe if you like heel strike on your left side might change. Or you might just lie down on the floor with legs straight and notice if you feel maybe a little bit more balanced and level through the weight distribution between your hips and the sides of the torso. Because when our pelvis shifts one way, the torso usually kind of shifts the other way. But we're not gonna go there. So again, this is a great move if you feel like your left hamstring is not talking to you in any movements or whatever you do. So try that, position that pelvis in the way that you can start engaging that back of the leg, that posterior chain of the leg a little bit better, so that you will get more benefit out of your strength training or out of your workouts or out of your walking. If you are a walker like me, I love to walk. And when I had that shift in my pelvis, my whole walking mechanics changed quite a bit and caused me some heel pain and stuff like that. So it's still a work in progress, but there is a solution. And